Hello. So today I want to share a way to have an eat, pray, love moment without the travel and without the money. And the way to have this eat, pray, love moment, well, let's take a step back. The Eat, Pray, Love, I don't know if you've read the book or watched the movie with Julia Roberts. It's just, in essence, the journey of a woman who is on a journey of self-exploration, putting herself in different situations, i.e. she went to 3 different countries and 3 very different situations. And it was just a spiritual journey, in essence, to really get to know herself. But it did take time and a slow steadfastness of being comfortable with the uncomfortable and doing something that was like a little scary and kind of weird, that maybe like her friends around her they were nice, but they were like, okay, yeah, but when are you gonna snap out of it and just like, come back to the normal life that you are supposed to be living? So anyways, so that's the whole idea of an eat, pray, love moment, if you haven't heard that term. So how I did an eat, pray, love moment in the beginning of 2021 without the budget or the travel was with Eventbrite. And there may be other platforms, but this is just what I did. So I just want to share it with you, and maybe how I did it on Eventbrite, maybe you could do it on another platform. So what I ended up doing is I ended up taking so many classes. I went back and looked, and it seems like I took like 40 or 50 classes. And that was over the span of like 3 or 4 months. And some of the classes I remember, like in the middle of the class, I would just drop off because I was like totally not feeling it. But a lot of the classes, there were things that I would have never even, that were not on my radar at all. It just totally helped me expand my horizon. And what I ended up doing is I'm like, okay, I want to grow and expand and travel to different places with different ideas and ideologies and stuff like that. So I was like, I really don't have the budget, and nor am I able to travel right now. And it actually was a blessing in disguise, because in the moment I didn't realize how much exposure to different ideas I received until now. It's like a year and a half later. And so the tactic that I did was I went on Eventbrite, and I just would search. And make sure I took it away just from my local events, and I put online. So I think I just typed in a random keyword and then online and just saw what would pop up. And so many random things would pop up. Like I took like 3 classes on bats. Like this woman, and first of all, she was amazing. Like when I saw that it was just like a class just on bats, I'm like, that's kind of weird, but I mean, that's why I'm here, to just learn. And this woman was totally cool and really awesome, and like a young woman, and she literally dedicated her whole life to studying bats. Like she went in the caves, didn't care about all the guano and all this stuff, and just was like so passionate about it. You could just tell she was in her zone, and she just inspired me. It didn't inspire me to go and like really be an in-depth bat person, but she just inspired me to find what is like my thing. And I literally took 3 classes on bats, and I was just so proud of her for being in her zone and just the way she described it. And she helped expand my horizons, like the importance of these species in the ecosystem and the interconnectedness of it all. And of course, she said all these other super duper smart sciencey things, but it was just really cool just witnessing that. So yeah, you just like log into Eventbrite, make sure that you're off your local area, and just type in any random keyword like fun. I enjoy meditation and yoga, so I typed that in. I typed in nature, I typed in business, I typed in I don't remember what I typed in. I think I even typed in sex and all these random things, and so many different classes came up. Like I wrote some of the classes I took. I did an underwater happy hour with the New York Aquarium, and it was a happy hour on sharks. So literally with the New York Aquarium, It was an Eventbrite call, and I think that was $10, but it was totally worth it. And then you got to interact with these cool people that were just so interested with the New York Aquarium. I took classes like from people who were hosting them throughout the world, like Vietnam, Spain, a lot of people from London, I think in different parts of the UK as well, but I specifically remember the city of London, and a lot of people throughout the States. So it was just really cool being able to easily jump into these communities of different people around the world and just expanding out of my bubble. I think, being in the bubble in my apartment was nourishing, but I also craved something bigger. I'm trying to see any other cool classes that I ended up taking. I took a class called Negotiating Like a Pro. I took a class called Enhance Your Project Management Skills. I took a class called The Humanistic Approach to Resolving Conflicts. I took a class on Urban Wildlife and Community Science. I took a class on astrology. Oh, this was cool. I took a class on Sanskrit, Sacred Language of Yoga pronunciation class. So I was like learning Sanskrit. I cannot remember anything, but it was just a really beautiful community of people who wanted to preserve the integrity of the language and of yoga, and it was just so beautiful. Oh, I took a class called Bruja, Living Witchcraft Traditions in South America. I took a class called Self-Hypnosis Techniques for Anxiety and Relief. That was a really cool class. Oh, I took a class on gender pronouns. Oh my God, that taught me so much. And then after that, I went down this whole thing of taking all these classes about inclusive language. I took a class on drag king history. I took a class on laughter yoga. I took a class on Tai Chi. Oh my God, I took so many classes. These are classes that I probably would have never taken if it were like a barrier to entry for the cost. And I will tell you that the people who are hosting the classes, it's a win-win. So the people who are hosting it, of course, at the very end, they're offering a product or service. That's to be expected. And even if you don't buy the product or service, it's a win for that person who's hosting it because they get practice of talking about whatever they want to talk about. And they get practice of offering their product or service. And not every single class is somebody offering a product or service, but a lot of times it is. I'm going to be honest with you. So you do have to kind of expect that. But if it's a free class, like, I don't think it's a bad thing that the person's offering the product or service. And actually, I will say 1.5 years later, I did connect with 2 people from 1.5 years ago that I've just kept them in my mind. And the one person was a plant lady, and I love her. I've actually done plant consultations with her, and because of her, I've really widened my awareness of the plant kingdom, and she is an integral part of my studies of the plant kingdom. And also, I ended up on a call with like all these entrepreneur people, and on the call, they brought in a guest speaker, which was a financial therapist. I had never heard of financial therapy. And you should Google it because it is a really cool thing. I'm not going to go into it. And 1.5 years later, I ended up hiring her, and I had like 4 or 5 sessions with this lady. So you don't know like what seeds are going to be planted in your head and where you're going to kind of end up. And like some classes you end up are going to be super rad. Other classes are kind of weird and icky. I did take a class like on notary, like how to become I think it was like digital notary or something like that. And I just really wasn't vibing with the person teaching the class. It was just way too salesman-y. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna listen. That's okay. This person is allowed to be a salesperson. But yeah, I mean, it's just this idea of being in different communities, and it was like really cool having access to all these different people around the world. And I barely spent any money. Some of the classes I did spend $5 or $10, but a lot of those classes usually are way more expensive, but they're usually just businesses that are, just out there trying to market and drum up more business. And, marketing is in itself, all it is just connecting and offering your services. So anyways, that was my hack on my Eat, Pray, Love moment with no travel and very, very small budget. So if you have any other platform that you could think of that you can do it, just do it. I will tell you, my boyfriend at the time, he was like, Jackie is taking all these classes. What is going on? Because I would take like 2 a day or something, you know? But now, a year and a half later, he's like, I'm so glad you did that. You were really able to expand your horizons. And it was just a fun exploration moment. And I think that's what you do when you travel, physically travel. But this just was a way to travel virtually. And I was able to connect with a lot of people throughout the world. So it was really cool. So anyways, I hope this information helps. And if you could think of another creative way to have an eat, pray, love moment on a budget or in a different flavor, let me know. I would love to hear. Okay, from my heart to yours, sending you LOVE. Ciao.